Evening, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining Blocks and Barriers. Today we have a guest with us to talk about weight loss. We have Mercy Odhiambo here with us, and she's just going to share with us her journey on her weight loss journey, how it's been, the challenges and the successes. And then from her successes, you can get inspiration and motivation on how you can take that journey yourself in your own way. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode and find it inspirational, informative, and motivating. So, Mercy, thank you so much for joining and for being a willing participant to help us break the blocks and barriers when it comes to weight loss. So, just a little introduction on who you are and what you do, please.
So, Mercy Odhiambo, I live in Geneva. I'm an executive assistant in pharmaceutical partnership, and I also I'm an executive assistant mentor, and I also work as mental health first aider for executive assistant. So basically my life revolves around EAs. Yeah, I tend to be the person trying to do a lot of things to make sure that executive assistants are fine and happy. Yeah.
Excellent. So in terms of your weight loss journey, when did it first begin? The very first moment you thought, I need to lose weight. When did it begin?
So the problem here is I grew up very skinny, and I think until when I was 28 and I was pregnant, I had never been more than 50 kilos. So I was one of those people who I will, in the middle of the club, I'm the one telling all my friends, I'm hungry, let's go find a McDonald's that's open. But I was also the one who never puts on weight. So 28, I was pregnant. I put on the normal pregnancy weight, lost all of it. I was around 55 kilos. And to put it in context, I'm quite short.
How short are you?
Yeah, exactly. So when I'm saying, because someone who's very tall, they can be like 50 kilos, were you starving? But anyway, no, I'm quite short. So my BMI, if you use BMI, I'm not supposed to be over 55 to have a healthy weight. And I do look quite big when I'm big, yeah. So I put on a lot of weight because after that I had postnatal depression, which led to medication. And one of the side effects of the medication was weight gain. And then I gained the weight, and then losing it became really hard. So the first time I ever thought about losing weight was around 2018. So I started going to the gym. Everybody kept telling me it's more about what you eat than working out, because I didn't even like working out. Honestly, I cannot stand working out. I still can't. And everybody kept telling me that, but I could not figure out what they meant by what I eat, because for me, what I was eating was just, and I was very convinced that I'm eating very little. So then that was the first bit. Then I lost a little bit of weight. And then because the world works very weirdly, when you lose weight, you tend to be more fertile, which is what I learned. And I did not have this information in advance. So I got pregnant in the middle of my weight loss. And then now that pregnancy came with type 2 diabetes. So I had gestational diabetes, and then after giving birth, I got type 2 diabetes. And my weight loss just really now exploded. I have never been that big. And the day I decided I have to do something was the day I stepped on the weighing scale and I was 100 kgs. And I said, I didn't even think it was humanly possible for me to reach 95 kgs. So when I was 100, I didn't know where all this extra weight had come from. So that's where I started.
Mm-hmm. So around 2018 there.
Yeah, around 2018. But the real journey started in 2022.
Okay. And when you say the real journey, I know you said different things there. what do you think out of all of those was the one that tipped you over to say, I must do something?
So the first one was that 100 kgs. And now that just pushed me to, I really cannot be playing with this. So the 2018 was me being conscious that now I'm bigger than I'm supposed to be. In 2022, that's when I hit the 100. And I was like, wow, okay, this cannot be healthy. But then I went to the doctor and the doctor told me, yeah, the medication. Now I was even on injections. It was just really, really bad. And he told me you really have to work on your diet. And then around September of 2022, I started a new job. And I think people are different, but I'm quite shallow sometimes. I went for this new job. And when I was being introduced around, I looked at all these other people and everybody was just so skinny. And I just felt, oh my God, I will feel so out of place. And it's such a damn thing considering my health was already at risk. That was not motivating enough. But by the end of that day, I told the doctor, give me the nutritionist's number again. He had given me a few times. I had never called. Give me a therapist who specializes in food addiction. And I am starting now to journal what I eat. So it was September 2022 that I've never looked back since then. Like there has not been any backsliding since then.
Amazing. And you know what you say, it sounds like a shallow or dumb reason, but sometimes humans, the way you are, like you said, we're all different. Sometimes
Yeah.
it could be something that's not the logical thing that tips you to say,
Yeah.
you know what, give me that nutritionist number. I'm seeing I may be out of place in this new workspace, and that becomes your motivation. So
Exactly.
do you feel people need to get to that point where something has to change for them to be like the way you've done, in that you've never looked back, you've never backslid? Do they need to get to that point where, or will, yeah.
I wish they didn't. I really wish that people would be able to do, like, because honestly, when I think about it, my life was really bad. I could not sleep well. I was snoring. I was always hungry. I was always tired. My concentration was horrible. There were just so many things. And of course, I kept telling myself, oh, it's the age. I'm 40. These things happen. When you turn 40, these things happen. Oh, I'm tired. It's just, I'm a mother. I kept giving all these excuses, but it was mostly the weight. So I really wish it did not need somebody to reach that point where it's bad for them to react. But unfortunately, from all the people I know, some people it's because, oh, I got divorced and now I decided because now I'm dating, I have to. But I feel for many people, there's something, a life experience that triggers the weight loss. So sometimes I wish these life experiences would come earlier, because by the time it's happening, quite a lot of damage has already been done, because there are some health damages that I have, which are irreversible. So, it's just, yeah, but you have to live with it because, well.
Yeah, and that's the sad part, is that, yeah, unfortunately sometimes the damage has been done. But
Yeah.
at least I think what the big thing is, even though that's the outcome or that's the reality, you've continued, and as you've said, there's no looking back.
Exactly.
So what strategies worked for you in losing weight?
So the first one was the nutritionist. As I said, I cannot stand exercising. Yeah. So, so there was the nutritionist. That was the first thing. So the nutritionist told me, it doesn't matter how much you exercise. First of all, you don't like exercising. So chances are high that you will not do it that intensely. And it doesn't matter how much you exercise, if you're eating the wrong things, you will not move anywhere. I was very convinced that I'm not eating too much. So even if I'm eating the wrong things, it's not that bad. So I started journaling what I eat, and I realized that I eat a lot. I might eat one meal a day, but in reality, I've eaten 4 meals because I'm always snacking. And for me, when I was counting how much I eat, I will be like, but I only eat lunch. I eat one meal a day. In the morning, I will eat a cookie, I will eat chocolate, I will eat, I was eating all these things in between. And I wasn't counting them as meals. So when I started journaling, that's when I realized, oh, I did not need to put sugar in that coffee. There's just small things that you're like, was it really necessary? So then my doctor also changed my medication because I have type 2 diabetes. He changed my medication. And lucky for me, the medication that I was taking helped a bit with the appetite, even though not that much. Um, then I will not name the medication because, yeah. After that, I started walking. So I walk wherever I can walk to. And I realized just how little 10,000 steps are. I used to think 10,000 steps are so many. Nowadays, I do 10,000 steps before 10 a.m. It's so easy to get to 10,000 steps that nowadays I'm like, oh, okay. So today I did only 15,000. It feels very, when like there's a day I did 6,000 steps, and that's because I had the flu and I was in bed most of the day. I was in my apartment and I still did 6,000 steps because that's how much I've gotten used to walking around. And, I just started creating new habits. Like instead of a big bottle of water, I get a small glass, which means I have to go back and forth to get water many times. And just, especially me who has a job where my job is sitting in meetings the whole day, and the amazing thing is I'm an executive assistant, so I have the power to choose which rooms we're having meetings. So I just book which meetings in many different rooms so that at least I'm moving around. I'm not sitting in the same room. So it's just small things, and playing with my 4-year-old who is very active. Meal prep. So I made, it was a whole lifestyle change. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And I love that, you said initially like you didn't like working out, but now here you are walking. Even by 10 o'clock, you've already done like 10,000 steps, even when you're poorly. So what was it for you that you went from this person who doesn't like to work out, but here you are walking?
So it was okay. I do have a personal trainer who I use once every 2 weeks or something like that. And then he tells me what exercises to do, which, to be honest, I hardly ever do. I paid for the gym because it was part of my work. We had a special rate at work and it's right opposite the office. So sometimes I go. So I figured I am not exercising as much as I would like to. And when you're losing weight, you need to also build muscle and just, stay active and stuff like that. And I started just enjoying how I'm doing it. So I bought very nice speakers, listening to music, walking to work. I live 20 minutes walk from my place, from my work. So I started walking to the office. We are supposed to go to the office 3 days a week. Minimum. I go, no, 2 days a week minimum. I go 4 to 5 days a week. So I try as much as possible to not work from home so that I'm actually walking, because when I work from home, that's when I do the 6,000 steps, because there's very little to do. And then I just started walking in crowds. So like on Sundays, in the afternoon, I have this group of neighbors that we just walk around. I don't know what we're walking around looking for, but we walk around and it's usually fun. Yeah, we get to know where all the teenagers are hanging out, and yeah, you figure out your teammates been doing funny things. So it's just fun. And then just looking for activities that will get me out. So small things like, I remember when I was pregnant, my doctor used to tell me small things like getting off the bus one stop before your destination. And then, when you're coming back, you also walk one stop from there to go and take the bus. That already makes a huge difference. And when he was saying that, I was looking at him like, no, I'm creating a human. I'm not doing this. But now I do it. And sometimes I go like, okay, I'll take the bus. And then I look at the time and I'm like, I have 30 minutes. It's okay. I can go to the next stop. And so if it's a very long distance, of course, I'll still take the bus, but I'll try as much as possible to walk to the farthest stop I can go to before I need to take a bus. So small things like that make a huge difference.
Exactly, yeah. And so sometimes in your weight loss journey, you may face challenges. So for you, what challenges did you face throughout the journey?
My social life, especially because I'm Kenyan, my social life involves a lot of eating and drinking alcohol. There is no event that doesn't have a lot of food, way too much food, and we are not very good at keeping carbs away. So so the food has been challenging, and at the beginning, especially because you don't really want to tell people that you're on a diet, because I mean, I've done it a few times, I've failed a few times, so I don't really want to say it again and then fail again. But I was, for me, it was one of those, okay, I'll go there, I'll eat what I need to eat, but then everybody's looking at you funny. So then you start, it's a bit uncomfortable. And I was one of those people who used to judge people who go for parties and they don't eat. So I was like, okay, a few friends, I was comfortable enough to just take enough Tupperware and take away food. That way they don't feel like they cooked and I didn't appreciate their food. But then after I started losing the weight, people started asking me, and I was like, listen, I really am watching what I'm eating and stuff like that. And then people started giving me tips. They were like, put the veggies first. If you put a lot of veggies, you're going to be very full. You will not want to eat the carbs. And then you can put the proteins next. Things like that. Forget about dessert. Nobody's going to look at you funny if you're not eating dessert. But you will have eaten the veggies, which nobody else wants to eat anyway. So you will have done your part for that party. And then with the alcohol, it was just one of those when you have very little space in your stomach to eat, it kind of starts taking a back seat. You're like, one glass of wine is enough. I'm not going for the second one. I'm not going for the third one. It's just enough, because you're also drinking a lot of water. And so the lifestyle change kind of forced itself on me. And then things like sweets and candy and stuff like that, I still have cravings. I really do. But now I think I am so conscious that I read the label and what's in it, that even if I buy chocolate, I'm not going to eat more than one tiny square, because I'm like, this is so much sugar. Like, this is the equivalent of one plate of rice. What's the point? So yeah, so some of these lifestyle changes came naturally after a while, but a big chunk of them I had to really, really struggle at the beginning.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
mentioned like there were points where maybe you had failed before, and maybe that's why you didn't want to, you were not comfortable to share with people that, yeah, I'm doing it, I'm trying again. So
Yeah.
what failures were those, and how did you come back? Because a lot of people struggle to come back.
So at the beginning, my first failures were the obvious. You've lost, and I think my failures used to come after big successes. So what used to happen was I lose like 5 kgs. I decide, oh yes, Facebook, 5 kgs down. I'm going to celebrate tonight. And then the celebration goes to day 2 and day 3 and day 4 and day 5. And that's why I've always said, I don't believe in cheat days. I don't even believe in calling them cheat days. I'm always like, well, if you want to eat cake, but don't call it a cheat day, because then the cheat day will become cheat 2 days, cheat 3 days, cheat week, cheat month, and then okay, fine, the 5 kgs are back. So that's what used to happen to me. I used to lose a bit of weight, and then I go into this celebration mode, and I get so much involved in eating that, yeah, all my progress gets destroyed, and then I just give up. So I think I have friends who have been suffering with me through this for a very long time. And quite a few of them were just tired of hearing about me complaining about my weight. And yet I'm not really doing anything about it. I mean, many of them were also overweight and they were not doing anything about it, but then they were already comfortable in their overweightness, you know? Even though I've started rubbing off on a few. Quite a few have actually started kind of eating more healthy, even though a few other things they're not doing, but they're starting to see how my weight loss has really worked for me. And even just the self-confidence, there are so many things that I had stopped doing that now I'm doing. I never would have thought that I'm usually an extrovert. I like doing things and stuff like that, but I had a comfort zone. I was not willing to try something new. And like the mental health and the mentoring, now I'm very confident doing that and going out there and talking to people who most of the time, because I don't know why, but for some weird reason, it's a very aesthetically pleasing career. People look a certain kind of way. And I was, it just gives me the confidence to be able to talk to them. Yet again, I say it does sound shallow, but if that's what I need to move my career ahead, then why not? Because it is helping me. Of course, it becomes harmful when it reaches that level of now I want to do surgeries and I want to do liposuctions and I want to do, but if it's helping you to live a clean, healthy life, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned before, like you get different comments from people. It sounds like from what you've said so far, they sounded positive in that they're giving you tips, but was it always positive comments as you've been through this journey?
So I had quite a few people who thought that I had done gastric balloon and had thought that I had done a few things. And I was like, you know what? I honestly don't care what you think. I'm happy with what I'm doing and I'm excited for myself. And then there were all these people who I think many of them, they had probably never known me skinny. So they were like, how would you even look? You know, they just knew me big. So they just assumed that I was going to look really, really bad. And one time I showed someone an old photo of me and she was like, oh my God, you used to look this way. And I'm like, yeah, that's where I'm heading. Well, not that small, but I mean, that's where I'm planning to go. And she found it very surprising because she was like, oh my God, you actually even looked better. And I'm like, yes, but you people keep telling me how I'm going to look old because that's the first thing they tell you. When you lose weight, you're going to look very old. I was like, no, I actually look younger now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did have some negative comments, unfortunately, from my people.
Mhm.
But so I think there was this, you can't lose weight. It's just, it's not becoming of you. A woman is supposed to have a little bit of fat and all that. And I'm like, this is not a little bit of fat. This is fat that is making me sick.
That's it.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you were to advise someone how to go through that place where your culture, they're telling you, oh, you need to have a little bit of fat. What's the best way for them to deal with such situations?
So when people, and especially when you hear people, well, when I hear people saying that, oh, in our family we are big, then I'm like, yeah, but also in your family, every other person has hypertension and diabetes and what. Have you considered that being big might not be a good thing for you? Because I think we tend to look at it like from the, and I think I did this too. It's one of those, I don't want to do anything about it. It looks like too much work. So I'm just going to go with the excuse of my mom is this size. After she had kids, she was, because I could have said that. I could have said that after my mom had kids, she became big and that was it. And which is true. But then I was also looking at my mom and she has hypertension. And I was like, I don't want to have a life where I'm taking medication for the rest of my life. Now, me, I went and got type 2 diabetes, which is also weight related. But now I was like, I can't now even get that hypertension because now that will be two diseases, which are lifestyle diseases. And so I feel like many people, that's the excuse we go with. And especially like for Kenyans, the Kenyans that I know, well, I would say most Africans that I know, we tend to say that, yeah, well, now you're a woman, so, you have children, you can let yourself go and you're married and you're happy. And the fatness is a sign of happiness and all that. And I'm like, yeah, but if you're snoring, if you're snoring and you're always tired, you can't even play with your children, what quality of life is that, it's okay if you're big and you're healthy. If you're still okay with being big, then fine. But if you're big and you can't even, like, you can't go up one flight of stairs, if the lift breaks, you sit there. What kind of life is that? So I would tell someone that, what, culture is culture, but you're also you. And there's nothing fun about culture if you're not enjoying it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And if it's affecting your health, and as you said, you can't even play with your kids,
Imagine.
there's that risk of hypertension. Maybe you already have an existing condition. So then how is it helping you to stay culturally, acceptable? Yeah, but your health is suffering. Yeah. So I love that you said, hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, they're lifestyle diseases. So as you've been through this weight loss journey, how have you seen your type 2 diabetes?
So like right now, for example, I'm on the lowest dose possible. So hopefully by the end of the year, I will be not taking injections anymore. That now I will be able to just take the pills if I need. So but that's a whole other problem. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because of the anyway. Yeah, so now I'm at the low dose, which is good because then I'm going to hopefully stop taking injections and move to pills, and then hopefully just maintain everything. But with every few kilos that I lose, my dosage got lower. And for me, every single time that my dose got low, I kept feeling so good because I was like, wow. I mean, the idea of, I'm not against medication. I work for a pharma company. I should not be against medication. But the idea of taking medication for the rest of my life, the idea that I have to take this to be alive just doesn't go well with me. If I can avoid that, there are diseases that you're born with and you can't do anything about it. You have to take medication for the rest of your life. That's different. But then what happens when you can't afford it? Because right now I'm living in Switzerland, the health insurance is covering for all that and stuff like that. What happens if one day I decide, okay, I'm moving back to Kenya and I still have this type 2 diabetes, and half the time you don't have enough money to buy your insulin, and you don't have what? So, your life gets cut short over something that if you would have just reduced the number of chapatis you eat from 4 chapatis to 1, you would have been able to avoid this, so it's just, for me, I think that's the biggest thing. The lifestyle diseases, they are not worth it. They really are not.
Mm. And so you've mentioned there have been so many positives throughout the journey. You're sleeping better. You've got energy to play with AJ, who is very energetic, your son.
Yeah.
And so of all the different positive outcomes, which one do you think has impacted your life the most?
The one that has impacted my life the most is the sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the things that I was going through, especially at work, lack of concentration, being cranky all the time, I was making enemies left, right, and center because everybody was just annoying me. I did not even have the energy to play with AJ, but that's because I could not get 4 hours of sleep uninterrupted. I had very bad sleep apnea. And so it just kept getting really bad. You reach a place you can't breathe, and the night you wake up, you go back to sleep. By the time you're waking up, I could not have 4 hours uninterrupted sleep. And even if I took a nap, it was okay, fine, I'm going to take a nap. But even the nap is not helping because it's just a nap. Now, if I take a nap, it's perfect. Even if it's a 5-minute nap, I'm good. I wake up and I continue with life. But then I felt like I needed a nap after the nap. And a nap used to turn into 2 hours of sleep. And then at night, I'm still trying to sleep and I can't sleep. And now I go to bed and I can have 8 hours of sleep, 6 hours. But even when I have less sleep, like I have 6 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep because of whatever life happens, right? I still have better quality sleep. And so my next day is still better than when I had those 3 hours here, 4 hours here. I would stay in bed for 10 hours, but it was not even 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep. It was 2 hours broken. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned also before how, your confidence also comes up. And this is something a lot of people find when they lose weight. So again, what do you think for you it was that now this confidence comes in?
So, I was having a conversation with somebody about this today, and she was telling me that the problem with women when they lose weight, they divorce their husbands. And I was like, no, the problem is not that they divorce their husbands. The problem is they were going to divorce that husband anyway. It's just now they know that somebody else will actually be interested in them. They were staying with this husband, they were already out of that marriage. Mentally, they were already out. But then physically, they could not see themselves with anybody else. So they were like, okay, fine, I'll just stay with this one. And then you start walking nicely and you're walking on the streets and people are saying hi to you and you realize, so men can pay attention. And that's the thing. There's a different level of confidence that comes when you feel comfortable in yourself, because now I can wear most styles of clothes. I don't have to limit myself to clothes which will hide hide what we would consider imperfections. Because yes, everybody is beautiful, but then we also know that there's what society considers beautiful. So if you're big and you're comfortable in that size, and that's why you see some people who are so big, like there's a Kenyan celebrity who she's quite big, but this lady has so much confidence that you look at her and you can't even notice that she has the weight. So if you're like that, fine. But for me, because I had never been big, so this was something new to me. I didn't even know how to act around people. And if somebody just made a small comment about my weight, it just spoiled my mood for the rest of the time. Like if you're serving and then somebody says, oh, no wonder you're bigger, that's a big plate, I will not be able to eat that food. I will feel so bad. And then I will go home and binge eat after that, because you just felt a certain kind of way, and then you will spend a whole week feeling bad about that. This is somebody who probably doesn't know you, doesn't know your struggles, has probably forgotten that they made that comment, but it will affect you for this long. And now where I am, it's one of those, somebody will say something, because I'm still not small. So there are people somewhere who do not know me, who haven't seen my journey, who will still look at me and still say something like, oh, you're big. I'll be like, yeah, still work in progress, but it's okay, because now I feel different. I'm like, yeah, I know where I've come from. And for me, it just gives me that extra thing of, if I could do that, because for me, this is the hardest thing I've ever needed to do. I've gone through things in life, but most of the things were external. This was me fighting with me. And that was a big battle for me. Everything else, losing jobs, relationships ending, loss of a parent. There were so many things that had already happened in my life, but those were all external. And even if you go to a therapist, you can talk about those things because you can distance yourself from them. But this one, you don't even know how to talk about it, because how do you talk about something that the food is not, alcoholism, alcohol addiction might even be, is actually even better, more manageable than food addiction, because you can stop drinking alcohol and you can actually live without alcohol. But food, every time I have to eat, and every time I have to be conscious of how much food am I putting in my plate. And for the longest time, I used to put too much still. And even when I think I've put half of what I'm supposed to be eating, it was still too much. I still couldn't finish it. And that's when I realized that, oh my God, I used to eat all that. Like the first time I went to McDonald's and I couldn't finish the small menu, but that's because the soda was just too much. It was just too much sugar, and I hadn't been eating sugar for like 7 months. And when I couldn't do that, then I realized I used to eat the large menu and still be hungry. So, it's small things like this, and then you get the confidence, and now you can walk, and even when people are looking at you, you're not thinking that they're looking at you because you look bad. You think that they're looking at you because you look good. And even if you have spinach on your teeth, you don't think like that. You think, oh, I look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that you've said, like, it's a difficult journey in that it's you fighting with yourself. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, how did you take care of yourself in your mental health, in your emotional health? What are some of the things that you did as you're fighting with yourself?
So for me, the therapist was very helpful. So what I did was just during the beginning of the journey, I just took more appointments. So it was more weekly appointments, and then now we are more at once a month. But at that time, I needed more support. I needed to just sit and vent. And then I had 2 or 3 friends who, many of them were life coaches, but they were there not as a life coach, but as a friend, to just listen to me. I needed somebody who I can call when I'm cooking, because one of my problems was when I'm tasting food when I'm cooking, I used to eat a whole meal before I get to the table. So I had a friend who actually agreed that every time I'm cooking, I call her and we talk about my day and her day, and we just complain about everything. So for like a month, I used to call this woman every time I'm cooking. Luckily, I don't cook every day. I do a lot of meal prep, and then I put in boxes. I am a mother, working mother. I do not have time to cook every evening. So then I freeze them, and then now it's just warming them. But it was, so I used to call her every time, and then we just talk the whole time so that my mouth is busy and I'm not tasting food. Um, yeah, so that was very, very helpful to just have people that I can talk to. And then just psyching myself up. So I did TikTok videos, and then I look at myself from sometimes when I'm feeling like I don't like this today. I like you go and you've weighed yourself at the doctors and you've not lost anything that week. No, that 3 weeks or something, because I get weighed every 3 weeks. So then I have not lost any weight, and you're like, oh no. And then I go to my TikTok videos and just look from the beginning, and I just look at how my face, just my face, how my face has changed from that until now. And I'm like, oh, well, even if I didn't lose these 3 weeks, it's fine. I've lost all this, in a year, it's fine. And yeah. So it was just small things like that.
Yeah, and I love that you really found small things from, getting off the bus one stop, before or ahead. And then even like now when you're cooking, just having that conversation to distract yourself, distract your mouth, like you said, and
Yeah.
they actually help.
But they make
So
a huge difference.
Ooh. So now I can hear maybe someone is like, hey, Mercy, I'm a mom, I have kids, I have work, and the same applies to you. You're a mom of two, you have a teenager, you have a young son, you're working, you have different projects that you're doing, you do some business on the side. How have you managed to keep this weight loss journey to the place where you've come to now?
For it to be sustainable, you
Mhm.
have to put it as part of your routine so that you don't have to go out of your way. Like I said, where I work now, there's a gym which our company pays a small amount for, so I get a discount, and it's right opposite our office. So sometimes when I don't have early meetings, I can just come from work, from home, then go to the gym for 45 minutes, shower, get dressed, and then go to the office. Or sometimes I leave the office 1 hour early and then pass through the gym before the evening. Or sometimes I can do lunch. But then I hardly ever do that. I would be lying if I say I do that a lot. I can maybe go to the gym twice a week maximum, and that's really, really a good week. Most of the time I will go once. So that helps because every time I'm going to the office, I'm seeing that gym and I'm feeling guilty about the fact that I haven't gone there. So just, it's just the convenience. It's a convenient place. Then the second thing is just like with my son, AJ is very active. So before I used to take him to the park and then I sit and then I'm on Facebook and he's playing with his friends. Now I'm one of those annoying mothers who are running with their child in the playground. So it is fun for him because we are having bonding time, and it is good for me because we are exercising. And I don't even tell him that it's because he's playing. I tell him that it's mommy who's exercising. And he really likes helping me with things. So sometimes he doesn't even tell me he wants to go play. He just tells me, Mommy, you want me to take you to exercise? And then he's riding his bike and I'm running behind him. And for him, that's just fun. Then with my teen daughter, so I want to make her already active because teenagers, my goodness, they can sit in their room the whole day. So I just do activities that, well, one, I don't tell her where we are going. I just tell her we're going somewhere, and then it's okay. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. 30 minutes walk, and she's done. She's mad at me, but she's done it. And then I just look for things that she might enjoy doing. Like tambourines and stuff like that, and trampolines and stuff like that she might enjoy doing. And then I involve her in the cooking so that she learns how to cook healthy stuff because she's still a fast food kid. So with a teenager, it's a bit hard. That one, it's challenging, but I find I'm finding things now to do with her because, to be honest, when I was big and tired, I was coming from the office and it's food, eat, go to sleep. I didn't even have time to sit with them and just talk to them and stuff like that. And now it's so much better.
Yeah. So what do you think is the impact of your weight loss for them? I know now they get to spend time with you, they get to have fun with you. What do you think?
So my daughter, for example, she's very conscious about what she eats. So there are a few things that she's changed. She still is a fast food kid, but she will not take soda if she goes to Burger King, for example. She'll take the water or not drink at all. She drinks a lot more water, no iced tea anymore. And then just so there are quite a few things that she stopped because she's like, she does not want to ever take injections. And so it's been helpful in her learning how to do that. And she's also learning how to cook. So we're spending a bit more time together, which is good. And my son, I feel like, because I was feeling guilty, my AJ and Binta are 10 years apart. So when Binta was born, I was young and energetic and I could play with her. But then with AJ, I was in my 40s. Woman is tired. So I kept feeling guilty because I was like, I don't even get to play with him. And he is so much more energetic than Binta was ever. Binta, I had to force her. She really liked sitting in a corner and reading. She could not read, but she just liked opening a book and pretending to read. But AJ, he just wants to jump. He's an active boy with so much energy. He just wants to jump. And the fact that I couldn't jump, well, I still can't. I mean, pelvic muscle issues. We still can't jump that much. So I'm like, okay, fine. But, we can run. I can do things with him. So it's still fun. But it's just so much better for me. I feel like now I can bond with him instead of having to dump him on his father every time he wants activities.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love that throughout your journey, you just found your own way. you've made it into your routine. You're not going out of your way to do something, just small practical ways. So for someone, they've listened, me, myself, I'm inspired. They want to start somewhere. What maybe 3 things can they do to just start?
The first thing is find a support system, because this thing, trying to do it alone, trying to do it as a secret, and most of the people who are going to most of your listeners who will say that, okay, I want to start, it's not the first time they've started. So it's not going to be the first time that people are waiting for them to fail. So it's just one of those. Find a support system, find someone who actually believes in you, who is supportive, who is willing to be there for you. Even if you just need to call and complain about, I just hate the way I can't eat too much sugar anymore. And then the second thing is, if you're able to invest in therapy, because most of our food addiction comes from somewhere. It doesn't just come from nowhere. And we tend to treat everything except mental health. And I'm not saying this because I'm a mental health first aider. I'm saying this because it's true. If you ask somebody, how are you? And they have a headache, they will say, I'm okay, but I have a headache. Nobody will ever tell you, I'm okay, but I'm going through a depressive moment or something like that. We never consider mental health. So if you're able to invest in a therapist or a life coach or somebody with some training that can listen to you and dig into where the root of your overeating is coming from, that would be a great place to start. And then the third thing is just start with the little that you have. Even if it is, people go like, I'm going to do intermittent fasting. So that means I'm only going to eat for 3 hours during the, I'm like, no, my dear, no. Start slowly. Tell yourself, don't even say that thing of I won't eat breakfast until lunchtime no. Just go. You're someone who used to eat 3 meals before lunchtime. And now you think you're going to just be able, you will fail and then you will get frustrated and then you will stop. Start by, I will start eating my first meal at 10. Don't go all the way to 12. Just if intermittent fasting is what you've decided, do not just go diving in into something 100%. People have this thing of it's all or nothing. If it was all or nothing and you had that much self-control, we would not be having this conversation to begin with. You already have a problem with self-control. So it's just start a little bit and then keep adding. And then the interesting thing is when you start a little bit, see a little bit of change, you get motivated to do more. And then you see more, because like me, what motivates me even to go to the gym that one day a week is I've started seeing abs. And as much as I'm losing weight, my stomach is still big, right? And now when the stomach has started shrinking and I'm seeing muscle, it's encouraging me to do something extra, something that it's totally not in my comfort zone. I had to buy very beautiful gym clothes so that I want to wear them to go to the gym and things like that. But just start small with something that does not involve you getting out of your comfort zone. If you're like, I know a woman who she's a mom, and what she does is she takes her baby and she uses the baby for weightlifting. So she does that and it's fun for the baby and it's good for her arms. And she does that for 10 minutes a day and it's fun. Put the baby down for a few minutes, then pick him back up again and start it again. So, small things like that. And during this time, what are you doing? You're watching your nice soap opera, you're watching whatever. So it's still something that you always do, because normally when you're sitting down watching TV, you're eating ice cream or you're drinking tea with cookies or you're doing something. But now your hands are busy. And yeah, your mouth is busy counting.
Yeah. And just the last thing, because you've mentioned therapy, and for our culture, Black people, African people, maybe even Christians who feel a certain way about therapy, what's something brief that you can encourage them with? Because you've said nicely, sometimes it's about a food addiction. So
yeah.
When it comes to therapy, how can you help people who are battling with, should I not? In our culture, we don't do this. In our religion, we don't do this.
So in our culture, we don't do therapy because people think it's self-indulgent to just sit there and talk about yourself. But sometimes that's what you need. And we have things that we have been through that we've never healed. I was telling a friend that it's interesting that we were colonized, we fought for independence, and those people who fought for independence, nobody ever did any therapy to them. So they had a lot of PTSD, which they transferred to their kids. We are like the third generation post independence. But yet, when you look at how our parents raised us, they did it with the tools that they had. But they had a lot of PTSD from their parents who had lived through serious, serious trauma. But nobody ever thinks that it's, when you think about therapy, you're thinking it's self indulgent. Oh, other people have bigger problems than me. Yeah, but those are those people's problems. The first time I ever went to a therapist, she told me something which I always tell people at the beginning. If you don't take care of yourself, even the person that you think you're taking care of, you're harming that person. So she told me, if my nail is hurting me and I do not take care of that nail, it will get infected because I'm worried about somebody who doesn't have a hand. That nail will get infected, the finger will get infected. Eventually, my hand will get infected and my hand will be cut off. And now, how will I be of help to that person who doesn't have a hand? It would have been better if I had taken the time that I need to heal that nail so that I can go back and help that person without a hand. Because the person without a hand, he's already where the person is. There's nothing you can do to reverse that. It's the same way, there's nothing your therapist can do to remove the trauma you have been through, but he can be there for you, right? So this person without a hand already doesn't have the hand. Now you can help this person. From there, you can't do anything about what happened before the hand was removed. So us sitting there and feeling like, no, it's a bit, no, sometimes that selfishness is really, really needed.
Thank you
Because
so
you
much.
might be doing even more harm to those kids that we are raising with all this PTSD that we walk around with. And for Christians, I know that, for example, there's a lady who, when I told her that I'm a Christian and I go to therapy, she said that means you don't have faith in God. And I told her it actually means that I have faith in God because I actually believe that there's a reason why God gave me that therapist, because she believes that you can pray about everything. And yes, you can pray about everything. But the same way I will pray and still go to a doctor when I have malaria is the same way I will pray and still go to a mental health provider when I need one.
That's exactly it. Yeah, because faith is about what? So you're believing, but you're
Yeah,
also gonna do something for yourself.
exactly.
Marcy, this has been excellent. People will get practical because I'm all about practical, simple things that you do in your day-to-day life. You don't have to pay so much. You just meal prep. You call your friend when you're cooking.
I'm
Things.
even saving money. I am totally
Yeah,
saving a lot of money.
yeah. Small things like that. And I
Yeah.
love that you've said, people can invest things like therapy to get to the root cause, get your support system, find someone who believes in you, find someone who can just guide you along. And of course, that's what I do is as a health coach. So, but you just have to find your own way of doing it. So thank you so much, Mercy. Thank you so much. I know
Thank
I'll
you.
I'll I'll get messages, and I know you'll also get messages. So what projects do you have coming? How can people connect with you before I let you go?
So my biggest project is Networking in Heels. I've been doing this Networking in Heels for 10 years. So it's a networking event for women based in Geneva. Anybody can come, but we do them in Geneva. Once a year, I do a wellness retreat, which is usually outside Switzerland. And the next one is probably going to be in Morocco or in Greece, still waiting for logistics, but it's all on my website, networkinginheelsge.com. And then that is usually a good time to talk about health, wellness, how being a woman fits into how being a woman just gets in the way of health and wellness because somehow we believe that being a woman means forgetting we're supposed to take care of ourselves. We're busy taking care of everybody else. And yeah, so that's my biggest project at the moment. I also do, I mean, the executive assistant help. And yeah, so I mentor quite a few young executive assistants who've probably found themselves promoted and they have no idea. They feel like they're drowning and they have imposter syndrome and stuff like that, and just guide them through the first few months of what they can do and stuff like that.
Excellent,
Yeah.
lovely. So I'll put the description, not the description, the website, Networking in Heels, under the video link. Then you can
Yes.
connect with Mercy. Are you on social media in case they want to follow you there?
Yes. So, okay. So, Networking in Heels is on Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere. LinkedIn, you can find me, Masio Diambo. Uh, on where else am I? Oh, yeah. I have a YouTube channel which I need to load a bit more in. So it's Kenyan Swiss. I'll send you the link.
Yes.
And yeah, I have quite a few things there about mental health because that's my big, big, big passion. And quite a lot of things about just networking and getting out there. I have a lot of stuff about introverts and how they can get help. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Mercy, for taking your time and again, just giving us that practical look, realistic, achievable way of losing and maintaining, sustaining it, and being
Yeah.
happy even when you're over 40. It's a myth
Yes.
that you'll be just tired. It is possible to get your sleep in check, to feel
Mm-hmm.
good, spend time with your kids, and continue to grow even in your personal, your career.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Marcy.